Although Ford has just announced that they will no longer be selling cars in Canada save for the Mustang, nothing's going to change for the Ford Expedition. It's already sold in very limited numbers, and it belongs to a very, very tight segment. I mean, other than the Toyota Sequoia, Nissan Armada, and GM Twins, and perhaps Dodge Durango to a lesser extent, it doesn't really have much competition. Now, if you'll loan me your attention for the next few minutes, I'll tell you why the new 2018 Ford Expedition is the best equipped, most modern, and best driving of the segment at the moment. Okay, so the all new for 2018 Ford Expeditions, let's talk styling. Well, there you go. It's massive. Okay, well, unique to my platinum trim truck is this grille, which I'll let you decide if you like it or not. It's starting to grow on me, but I still think it's a little bit too much. I do like the LED headlights. A lovely touch. This is a Max, as I mentioned, so it's long. Even 22-inch wheels on here don't look that big. It's crazy. Speaking of crazy, the wheelbase on this thing is 230 millimeters. All right, 23 centimeters longer than the base Expedition. Overall length is just over 30 centimeters longer, so essentially a foot longer than your basic Expedition. Base price $60,149. The Platinum Max starts at just over $84,000. There's a lot of stuff included in that price, so let's start looking into that. The power hatch, which reveals trunk number 1, I guess, or the small trunk. That's just under 1,000 liters worth of space. It's crazy. It's insane. Oh, okay, so let's just decide you need more space. Yeah, power third row is a nice touch. It's included in my Platinum. That reveals over 2,200 liters of cargo space, which is more or less the size of your average mid-size sedan. So let's jump into the big monster. Oh, yes. This. Oh, it's going to take too long. The power running boards. I love them. Okay, yeah, this is one of the options in my Tesla, which retails for close to $90,000. Rear captain seats, which are very comfortable. But for your viewing enjoyment, I will make my way back here, which is actually insanely easy. Okay, so the seat is kind of inclined a lot, but still, I'm just making it in here. There is a way to adjust this second row seat to make it actually livable. Headroom is decent. I'm about 5'10", so that's pretty easy, but I don't have to spend that much time back here. Second row, limo-like, my friends. So much room, great place to lounge. All kinds of adjustments here. You have your rear heated seats. One of the options in here is, hello, yeah, the rear entertainment system. Okay, enough of that. Let's go right up to the front. There is so much stuff in here. I'm gonna forget 93% of it all. Oh, one of the features, Bang & Olufsen audio. Let's start it up. Okay, so you get Sync 3 in here. Oops, I'm gonna shut up Fred Durst for a second. So yeah, Sync 3, every connectivity option possible. There's the wheel for the shifter, I suppose. Not crazy about it, but it works. That M is actually for the manual mode. And how do you select your gears? Right there, my friends, plus or minus, because there are no paddles or any buttons on a steering wheel, as you can see. I will mention this again, but I don't like the steering wheel. This is huge. Terrible grip. Storage, boom, boom. It's a place to put your kid if he misbehaves. Cup holders, good sized door bins, glove box, all kinds of storage. Okay, so as far as equipment is concerned, intelligent cruise. Yeah, it's got this trailer assistance stuff with the brake bias adjustment. So you see right there, steering wheel heated, seats heated and ventilated. Navigation, Sirius Satellite XM, all that business. Massive dual pane sunroof. This thing is completely and utterly loaded. Now, I've not driven a Lincoln Navigator yet, but I can't imagine you really... Oh, did you see that? Love the power running boards. Let's go for a little spin, and we'll just find out how actually good this thing is to drive. It is just about impossible to mask or hide the size, the sheer girth of the Ford Expedition, and more specifically, this Max. Be that as it may, Ford has gone to extreme lengths to try and do exactly that. And they've done a commendable job. Now, I'm going to compare it to the last full-size 3-row SUV I drove, which was the Nissan Armada. To be fair, the Armada is a much older vehicle, and you can tell by the chassis/suspension tuning. It's got a softer chassis or a softer platform, so it's got a stiffer suspension. So you feel everything happening, and it feels labored, heavy, big. Whereas the new Expedition has a far more sophisticated, completely stiff chassis compared to the Armada. So the suspension is far more compliant. There's a lot more wheel travel. There's generous damping involved. And if you take a look underneath, you'll find bushings, all kinds of wizardry designed to soften and alleviate, let's just say, the weight and the girth once more, or remove it from the controls. And it works to a certain extent. Of course, this is still a near 6,000 pound vehicle. If it's not 6,000, I haven't actually checked, because it would be kind of scary. So speaking of the controls, right? Steering is numb but heavy, reasonably precise. I mean, it's many turns lock to lock, but that's the nature of the beast. I don't like the steering wheel because the spokes are enormous and I can't get my hands around it. But essentially, this is designed to be driven like this or like that. You know, you don't necessarily do a 9 and 3 when you're driving one of these. The brakes are immensely powerful. But the brake pedal, it's kind of weird because I've never noticed this before. It has power adjustable pedals, like a lot of large full-size or large Ford vehicles. And I'd never noticed that there's kind of a lever action going on when I press on the brakes. So the pedal moves and then it starts to work. It's a little odd, and I'm pretty sure it only has to do with that. Performance is tops. Speaking of performance, while I'm stopped now, I can tell you about the powertrain. Yes, gone are the V8s and obviously the V10. In its stead, and well, no Power Stroke yet. I just drove it in the F-150. That's a lovely engine. We'll see if it comes as part of the Expedition package. We shall see. But at the moment, twin turbocharged 3.5 liter EcoBoost V6 under that bonnet produces 400 horsepower at 5,000 RPM and 380 very healthy pound-feet of torque at just over 2,200 RPM. Those are nice numbers, but what really makes a difference? 10-speed automatic transmission. I'm not a big fan of multiplied, super, large number of gear transmissions because they tend to be very clumsy. Now, Ford's 10-speed, and this also applies to the F-150, is brilliantly sorted out. It somehow always is in the exact right place at the right time. So getting on the throttle, and the shifts are barely noticeable. Which, see, oh, there, I'm gonna right there. One of the biggest issues with driving this Expedition is visibility. Now, you'd expect in a vehicle this big, vast expanses of glass, which you do have, but a shoulder check like I just did, the B-pillar is so enormous, I can't see anything. Oh, and the back glass, I think, is in the next time zone, so it's essentially useless as well. But back to the transmission, shifts are barely noticeable, and the gearing is always spot on. There are also, I stopped counting at like 5 drive modes for this thing. Normal, I think, is your best bet as always. Right now, doing just over the speed limit, 10th gear, the engine is asleep, right? Slight throttle prod, it just dropped 4 gears, I'm in 6th gear, and I'm accelerating briskly. It's beautiful. Again, didn't notice the shifts whatsoever, and it dropped from 10th to 6th like that. That is beautiful. You can play around, eco, change lane now. There's a sport mode. I kind of wonder why you need it in here, but the funny thing is, it's actually really good. I mean, throttle response is even quicker. You do feel the shifts, however. It just dropped 4 gears again, except I felt it that time. So maybe that's part of the sport aspect, is that you actually get, jarred by shift. I don't think it's necessary in this type of vehicle. So I'm gonna go right back into normal. The eco mode I've avoided because I don't want to know what it's like. Because quite honestly, quite frankly, I'm driving reasonably well, and I'm averaging just over 13 meters per 100 kilometers. And that's in a mix that is very city biased over highway biased. So like doing 100 kilometers an hour on the highway in 10th gear, the engine is at just around 1500 RPM. So I might be shouting now, only because I want to make sure that you're hearing my words, even though you might not want to hear them, but it's actually reasonably quiet in here at normal highway speeds. This thing is a posh, especially in the platinum trim, posh, oversized, do anything, go anywhere crossover that if you ever step into this, I mean, there's nowhere else to go. I don't know about an Escalade and all of that, but if you need more than what this has to offer, you might have to readjust your needs, because you can still tow the 9,000 pounds with this thing. Anyway, yeah, the new Expedition it's wonderfully huge. It's actually good to drive.